and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the Public Defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We are going to be talking about a high school in our county, I was going to say circuit, that is certainly on the cutting edge of legal affairs and the criminal justice system, which is a great thing. So, and of course, near and dear to my heart. And with us is Sandra Oliveira. And your title?
Assistant Principal at Centennial High School.
Okay. And
Jim Nichols, Criminal Justice Instructor.
okay.
St. Lucie, West Centennial.
Okay. And you've been there 3 years, and you've been there 17. Okay. Let's talk about let's go back a minute. Your background, Sandra, is you're a teacher now, obviously, but prior to that, you actually have a law degree, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so you were a lawyer in Boston and came down here, and but I think we've decided that you like
Education better.
okay, I got it. No clients, no billing, no overhead. It's a wonderful thing. And Jim, you're a former chief of police, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Again, Centennial is certainly on the cutting edge of legal affairs, criminal justice things, and it goes back many years ago when I used to come to the school actually and judge moot court and mock trials and everything with teacher Mr. Leonard. Let's talk about that. I know we're on a little bit of a hiatus now with the teen court and all of that, although it was very, very robust, if you will, many years ago. And I did not understand until earlier today when we were talking that actually was funded by the state.
Correct.
Okay, and that's how it all started. And I'm going to digress for a moment, but I've got to bring it up because I was very involved in it for years, was the DARE program. Do you remember that? That was something else, I think, that was state funded and they decided to do away with it. But anyway, let's pan to teen court and what used to be. You guys are the only people in the county to have a courtroom actually in the high school, correct? Let's talk about that.
So yes, that is true. We are the only high school in the county that has an actual operating courtroom.
That looks very good, I might add.
Thank you. Thank you. We do try to keep it up as best we can, but it actually is set up like a very regular courtroom, and it has the jury room off to the side and the judge's chambers in the back.
Right.
And when we were doing teen court, it was a setting for all of these schools who offered criminal justice to come together. It was a collaborative effort where the state attorney's office would send cases to us, and then we, the teachers, would decide, okay, who's going to be prosecutor this month, who's going to be defense this month, who's going to be jury, and we would assign roles to our students. And our students would actually prepare and present the cases in front of guest judges. As you said, you were often a guest judge, but we would also get other individuals from the community to come and volunteer their time.
Well, and sometimes when I wasn't a guest judge, I would be the mentor for the defense lawyer. We'd huddle and decide, okay, what questions should we do on cross-exam and all. And of course, somebody from the state attorney's office would help too. But anyway, go ahead.
It's an absolute great hands-on experience for the students because they actually got to handle real cases. It's funny because usually when I speak to individuals about teen court, they think it's just mock trials. As you know, mock trials aren't real, they're fake.
Right.
But these were real cases. These were real juveniles who had committed misdemeanor offenses, but nonetheless real crimes, and they were being tried for their crimes. And our students would actually handle the cases, and depending on what side you were on, you were either prosecuting or you were defending. Our students would
be the jury.
correct.
Okay,
so they would present the case. and then the jury would ultimately decide what the not the sentence, but what the punishment would be
the
for
sentence.
the sentence,
Yeah.
what the punishment would be for the student, and then. From there, the case was turned back over to the state attorney's office, and they would, make sure that the consequences were carried out and that the student did what they needed to do in order to finalize the outcome of the teen court case. But as far as education is concerned, it was a great learning opportunity for our students because they actually got hands-on experience of not
Right.
only reading through a court file, but then trying to decipher, okay, if I'm the prosecutor, how do I want to present this case? If I'm the defense, how do I want to present this case? And it gets them to really analyze the different points of view and the different sides of a case and know how to present it depending on what side you're on. And also, like you mentioned, what questions to ask the
Right.
witnesses, which witnesses to call. So it was a great opportunity that was given to students to actually process a case from beginning to end and actually see the outcome through the eyes of their peers and actually process through their peers.
And this wasn't done in a day. I mean,
No,
that,
no,
yeah.
no.
The case was given by the state attorney's office to the school, to
Correct.
the teachers, and then they worked on it for
I want
Several
If I
weeks.
recall correctly, it was at a minimum of 2 weeks, sometimes 3, depending on the type of case that was being forwarded. And we usually would try to present more than one case.
Right,
It
right.
would sometimes be 3 or 4, depending on the severity of the case. Some cases were shorter, some longer. But for the most part, the state attorney would send the cases over to the teachers, and then the teachers would make the copies, identify who the students that would be working on the case, assign the roles, and then work closely with those students as coaches and mentors in helping them to prepare so that they would then be able to present the case on the day of teen court. And then we would actually host the teen court hearings in our courtroom
Right.
on our campus.
Yeah. Now, well, okay. So, do you have anything? I know we're on a little bit of a break now with this. What, are you doing anything similar or close to it?
So what I'd like to see, because we are on a little bit of a break with teen court, what I'd like to see is a little bit more collaboration with the other schools, the other high schools that offer criminal justice, and set up perhaps some mock trial competitions between the schools. So perhaps invite maybe Treasure Coast or Central or Westwood, which the other schools that offer criminal justice, and treat it as a field trip where we identify a case for the students to work on. They actually analyze it, research it, prepare it, and then present it in our courtroom where the students would actually come to our campus and use our facilities to
I was going to
present the
say,
case.
you've got a ready-made
Correct.
facility to use. So, well, Jim, as law enforcement, now, are you teaching in the classroom, or are you just overseeing the program? Tell me.
I actually teach criminal justice 1, 2, and 3 right now. I have taught criminal justice 4 in the past, and I have had.
Now, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but is there just one teacher that would be you that does 1, 2, and 3, or do you have a group of you that do different aspects?
There is one other teacher that teaches criminal justice, and she teaches 6 classes of CJ1. She only teaches CJ1.
I got you.
And then I teach 1 class of CJ1, and then I teach CJ2 and CJ3.
And 4.
Yes, and 4 when available.
Okay, Jim, let me ask you this. If a student in their senior year says, gosh, I blew it. I think I want to be a lawyer. I think I want to be in law enforcement. And I want to enroll in one of the courses. Do they enroll in the 4th level, or do they have to start from the beginning and they obviously can't do the others? I mean, or are they excluded from doing any of it?
We like them to start at the CJ1 level, of course.
Right.
And that way, as Ms. Alvera stated, it gives them the foundation, the basics of criminal justice, the basics of our government, how the government operates, how it's ran. And this prepares them to go into CJ2, where they'll be introduced to different types of police operations. And then, of course, the CJ3 and 4 after that. So,
And what's 3 and 4?
Criminal Justice 3 focuses on criminal investigations.
Oh, wow.
Students,
Okay.
this is a really great opportunity for them as well. They will learn the basics and some of the fundamentals and some advanced techniques as far as how would a crime scene investigator approach a crime scene. What are the first things you have to do when you approach a crime scene? How do you protect the crime scene? Who should be allowed in the crime scene? How is evidence classified? How is it prepared? How is it photographed? How is it mapped? These are the type
Wow.
of things. And they are learning actual techniques that are used on the street today. So I feel very confident that our students, once they have been subjected to the training that we give them, would be able to walk into a crime scene and be able to prepare it just as well as a lot of officers could, or crime scene investigators for that matter.
Well, and I want to interject something, then you need to tell me about level 4. But, you know, we have at the Public Defender's Office an intern investigator program where we get volunteers. We train them to be an investigator, but the quid pro quo, legal term to use, is that we train them for free, but they have to give us volunteer hours back commensurate with that training to interview clients, take pictures of crimes, you know, all of that too. So the reason I'm mentioning it is if you have a child, a student, that would like to maybe come one day and see what because we train on Tuesdays in our conference room in Fort Pierce in the afternoon, maybe you could send somebody our
Sure,
way and just let me
Okay.
know and they can sit
Yeah.
in and
Absolutely.
see
That'd be a great opportunity.
No,
Yeah.
but anyway, level 4, what is level 4?
Level 4 currently is the ALP certification, law assistant,
Oh, okay.
and the other instructor's teaching that right now. I have taught it in the past, but with her background as an attorney, we felt that it was a better fit for her. So this was her first year teaching the CJ4.
So we have another attorney renegade that says, no more, I want to just teach. You know, it's so funny because listening to this, there's no question that being a lawyer is a difficult thing. But it's really funny that they've just said, you know, both of you just said no more. Because all you hear is, and don't get me wrong, I know being a teacher is a very, very difficult and noble task. But all you hear about is, you know, how god awful teaching is, but it obviously is better than being a lawyer, which is kind of funny to me. But anyway, in your experience, Jim, what do you, with the students, and you're not teaching right now, right,
No.
Ms. Sullivan? Okay.
No.
So you're in there with the students. What misconceptions and what things do you often see that just blow you away? Because people ask me things that it's just like, no, you don't smoke cigarettes while you're in jail. No, you don't have big screen TVs while you're doing your talk. I mean, you know, the perception of the public is so far different than the reality of what really goes on. So it has to be the same with the students. So talk to us a little bit.
It can be tough sometimes in the initial phases of our classes because the students do come in sometimes with preconceived notions of what being a law enforcement officer is, what are the stereotype that goes along with it, and I think sometimes that's also one of my responsibilities is to let them know that you need to come into the program with an open mind.
Right.
And I have had students come to me after the program and say, you know what, Mr. Nicholas, you really changed my idea of what being a law enforcement officer is all about.
Well, and not to interrupt, but that is not only great for the students, it's great for the community. Because now they have a softer, better, kinder, gentler, more accurate view of law enforcement. They're not just out there ready to arrest anybody that walks in front of them, you know. And for certain groups, That's important.
I spend a lot of time making sure that the students understand that, unfortunately, you're seeing very good people sometimes on some of their worst days.
Right.
And you're not just there to file charges on somebody, make arrests, but you're there to give choices and options sometimes, and you're there to work with the people and try and make them have a lot better opportunity at making sure that whatever problem you were there for initially doesn't happen again. And I talk to them about, we've heard about community-oriented policing. One of the things I like to talk about is what I call problem-oriented policing, where you may spend an extra like 15 or 20 minutes at somebody's house trying to work the problem out so that you're not back again the very next night. Give them some valuable options and some other ways to handle whatever the issue was. And through this, once again, the students realize, wow, I didn't know that officers really do this kind of thing. I thought you just show up and you make an arrest. I didn't realize that you're there to give options. You're there to make recommendations. Let them know what kind of services are available from the county or the city at that level to assist them. Exactly.
Well, and I think you just nailed it. I mean, it's not just about putting people in jail and handcuffing them and throw them in the back of the car. There's other options, and just like teen court and civil citation for juveniles, things of that nature. We have evolved, thank goodness. I mean, yes, people who commit crimes should be punished. We all agree. But there are times that we have to take a second look and try to get them, on the right track. It's funny. We just had an attorney training this past Friday on body cams. And I'm sure as a law enforcement officer, the perception, and they showed a video, of course that's the way of the world now, and thank goodness for it. I mean, it's just, that's what happened. There it is. However, they showed a video where law enforcement is standing there. They have a gun. The defendant is running, and it's in real time, but it's real fast. And the defendant is running, and and all of a sudden he's stop, and he shoots the person. And if you just saw that quickly, you wouldn't see exactly what happened. But when they broke it down and did it at slow speed, as the person was running, they came out and they were about to shoot the law enforcement officer, and of course, the officer responded. But that's kind of changed the way, you didn't have those when you were chief, but boy, oh boy, it's a new world.
Yeah, so when I started my career, we didn't even have computers. All the reports were handwritten. However, I am a proponent of body cameras. I was the first department in our county to have body cameras. Believe in them. My officers initially weren't sure how they felt about having a body camera, but our policy was that every contact with a citizen was recorded. If somebody flagged you down and said, officer, I have a question, body camera went on.
Yeah.
Step out of the car, body camera goes on. It keeps the officers honest, it keeps the public honest, and it does give that view to the public whenever there is sometimes maybe a use of force complaint. It gives the entire incident right there. Now, there are things people do have to keep in mind that when you're looking at a three-dimensional camera into a four-dimensional scene that's happening, you're not always going to see everything as you talked about on the camera, but it does give you a starting point to try and break down just exactly what happened step by step, and was there any policies violated, and just exactly what happened, because that's usually what the public wants to know. What was the department policy? Did the officer use excessive force? And the camera system, it lays it out there sometimes where it's just black and white, there it is, and
course, with the cell phone videos, oh my goodness, you know, everybody wants to be a body cam expert. You know, they want to be their own body cam, but we can't do it. Let's talk for a moment, because once again, we're almost out of time, believe it or not. The collaboration we started to talk about, the collaboration you have with IRSC. Tell us about that.
Before I speak to the IRSC issue, I just want to jump on what Mr. Nichols was saying about his experience. As you mentioned earlier, we do have another criminal justice teacher in the program. So currently we have 2 instructors teaching criminal justice, and they both have very distinct backgrounds. Mr. Nichols having the law enforcement background, and Ms. Baumgarten, who's our other teacher, having the legal background. And one of the things that we strive for is to get that balance between the law enforcement side of things and the legal side of things.
And you have to.
And you have to, because it does bring different perspectives to the table. And it's interesting because I remember having a conversation with a former student of mine that went on to IRC, to the police academy, and after a few of his initial classes, he emailed me and said, "Thank you so much for teaching me the legal side of things, because now I come into my police academy classes with a completely different perspective that nobody else has, and it really helps me to see both points of view." And I feel that we have a very well-rounded program at Centennial with criminal justice, because we do have the law enforcement side with Mr. Nichols, and we do have the legal side with Ms. Baumgarten, and they do kind of mesh them together so that the students are able to see the 2 sides of the criminal justice
Now, what
system.
kind of lawyer was she before she became a teacher?
I believe she did general law.
Okay. Well, so she's seen it from the prosecution, the defense. No, that's great.
Absolutely.
That's great. But anyway, go ahead.
So as far as the collaboration that we have with IRSC, we do have an articulation agreement with them, which basically means that our students who complete the program at Centennial, if they go through the criminal justice 1, 2, and 3, which are the mandatory classes, if they complete those 3 successfully, and they then decide to pursue a criminal justice program or degree at IRSC, they automatically get college credit for those 3 initial introductory courses. So it kind of saves them some time and some money. So this way, when they go over to IRSC and they start in the criminal justice program, they're already getting credit for those classes, and they don't have to retake them. And the reason I say criminal justice 1, 2, and 3 is because those are the required courses in order to fulfill the articulation agreement. And then if they decide to pursue criminal justice 4, that would be optional for the student, and that would be supplemental if they want to then pursue that internship or that certification.
I gotcha.
But it's an invaluable experience for the students, and a great tool, because not only is it preparing them for the career, but it's also preparing them for college. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on, not only in the criminal justice program, but I think at Centennial in general, is that we're preparing students not only for college, but for future careers. And that's why we want to give them multiple opportunities in order to not only develop those college skills that they need to be successful in college, but also develop those career skills, those soft skills that they need to be successful in future careers that they then decide to pursue.
Well, and what a great thing to have this opportunity for exposure for a student. You know, it's not just, you know, learning, you know, you got to learn math and science and all, gosh, oh my goodness. But anyway, but yeah, you have to learn those things, obviously. That's very important. Those are the basics. But oftentimes, and I see it with attorneys who apply for jobs at our office, oftentimes, you know, I see their resume, I see what they've done in the past. Some of them have had other jobs, some of them are fresh out of law school. But I ask them, well, what exposure have you had to, you know, criminal defendants, to this type of work? Because as you know, it's vastly different than what you see on TV. And I want them to know, you know, they're going to have to go in the jail. They're going to have clients that sometimes are ungrateful. They're going to deal with things that they don't want to, but that's our job. We're appointed by the court, and we're going to do our job to the best of our ability. So when you're talking to them, and they clearly have that deer in the headlight look, like, well, I never thought of that. You know, you're just like, oh no. So my point is, the beauty of what you're doing at the high school level, that I want to say again, you know, I was in high school many years ago, but boy, have we come a long way to expose these high school students to things that we were never exposed to make decisions, you know, what route you want to take. But anyway, so anything else on the horizon? Because we're almost out of time.
Nothing that we haven't already covered.
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing
we're
covered.
very proud of our program, and we love to let other people know about what we have to offer, and let students know that it is a hands-on experience type of program where maybe the first year is not so much hands-on because we're laying those foundations.
Well, and I like the way you've chosen to kind of piggyback on this program. You start with the basics and you know, progress from there, and it really does give the student a great understanding.
Yeah, and it gives them multiple opportunities because different students have different needs, and it gives them just opportunities to be able to pursue their interests and decide how they want to take it after they graduate from high school. And after completing the program, they can then decide, okay, I want to go to college, or maybe I want to pursue a certification, but it gives them multiple opportunities to fit their needs.
Oh yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, just to add that, you know, the students, a lot of them will come in thinking, okay, the law enforcement program is about being a law enforcement officer. But what they find out when they come in is that there are multiple opportunities for different career fields that we discuss and go over in our program. So there's a lot more opportunities than some of them realize initially.
Right.
Because we've talked about, they could be a defense attorney, a prosecutor, they could be
Investigator,
they could
a
be-
911 dispatcher. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that's one of the things that I pride myself on with the program, is that we open the students' eyes and let them know, hey, you can come into this program, but there is all kinds of job opportunities, and career opportunities out there for you that we're giving you the foundation for, and the basics that will help you go on to college and get your college education and whatever career field that you would go into. So really setting them up for success. That's what we really strive for.
No, and it sure seems like you are. And I want to commend you. Keep up the great work. I hope the, you know, hiatus, if you will, on Teen Court comes back. And by the way, if it does, I will be available to help in any way I can,
thank you.
because I think you guys are doing great.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.